All right, welcome to the April 16th City Council Finance Directors Meeting. I'm Mark Trenary, the facilitator of the meeting, and who else do we have in attendance today?
I guess I can start. I'm John Morrissey, City Council.
Also on council.
Noah Crocker, Finance Director.
Patansu Mayor.
Sean Dunham, IT Manager.
All right, thank you all for coming. First thing on our list is the Finance Department Sales Tax and Revenue Report. Mr. Crocker, what do you got?
So hopefully everyone can see my screen that has the agenda on it. And I will switch to the sales tax and report. So we had a good month in March. When we compare March of 2024 to March of 2023, you can see we actually had some growth of $36,000, 6.6% year over year for the month. In total, we are roughly 2.6% over our 2023 through the first three months of the year. So good growth over actuals. And again, when we compare that to our actual budget, we're 21% ahead of our budget for the same period. So ahead of budget, and then we're actually seeing actual growth in sales tax revenue. So that's the strong indicator that we like to look at. In total, when we compare it to our biennial budget, we have received now 70% of our biennial budgeted revenues with 9 months to go in the year. So that is a good spot to be in.
Yeah, it looked really strong to me.
Moving down on to REIT. Not as strong a story, but there's some some positive stories here, I guess. When we look year to year, was a decrease from compared to 2023 for the same period of time. For the first 3 months of 23 compared to 24, we're down 7% actual REIT revenues received. But when we compare it and look at our budget, we're at least 4% ahead of what we had budgeted. So that's positive news from a budgeting perspective. Not great news from actual perspective, but we're coming into a more real estate environment over the coming months, hopefully. Year to date, when we look at our biennial budget, we've collected 72% again of our biennial budgeted revenues. So that's a positive sign. Again, with 9 months to go, still have a lot of room to meet our biennial budgeted goals and fund those things. So that's overall still positive. Any questions or discussion on the sales tax or REIT?
No, did we do some forecasting? Do we get forecasting in any of this for council or no?
No, we
Okay.
haven't. Yeah.
You know, it looks historical, like February's a weak month, and it was proven again this February. Have any idea what's behind that?
I would guess just since we're just lagging on real estate sales, if you're talking about the REIT in particular.
Yeah.
Since we're lagging, the winter months tend to have less real estate deals closing than spring to summer months. That would be the only guess I have at the moment. You can see that there was a big bump in 2022, and I think we had some anomalies, some apartment sell in that period as well as in July that year. So some of those prior years throws off the historical data a little bit.
And we're still seeing brisk activity out in McCormick communities for new construction. But remember, interest rates rose and a lot of people have low interest mortgages and you know, somebody just getting, buying another house, there's some economics involved in that now too, because it'll cost you something, in your interest rate. So it's not that activity isn't happening, but you're probably, if you're selling your house, it's probably because you're moving out of the area, not because you're, buying another house locally, unless you're buying a new home.
Yeah. Councilmember Chang, you got your hand raised.
Yeah, Noah, I recently got an email from Gig Harbor, and I know we ignore them, but this email was talking about how in 2025 they're projecting they're not still calling it deficit, but they're expecting their revenue to be short of expenditures. Are we expecting something similar for 2025?
Not at this time. I mean, we will get more of that. We'll have that conversation, I should say, over the coming months as we start to develop our budget for 25 and 26. Gig Harbor is a little bit different. They're fully built out, so they don't have the same construction environment that we do here. So there's every city, every entity has different factors. So I can't speak to exactly why they're going deficit.
So historically, when we were developing the budget, and we'll get into this in, July and August when we start talking to you guys about the next biennial budget, but it's a 5-year average that we use, which is being very conservative. And sometimes we put a growth factor to that also, but we try to be very conservative in our revenues so that we, if things start softening like they did in the fourth quarter, and we saw it a little bit in January trailing, that we're not having to make adjustments because now we've budgeted. So we want to, be conservative in our revenue projections and, also, manage expenses well so that we can overperform in our budget. And so when things come along like furniture that we wanted to buy, at the last council meeting, and John was asking, how are we going to pay for it? Well, one of the ways we can pay for it is we've got some newfound revenue that we didn't plan on.
Yeah, and as far as forecasting goes, again, when we start to develop the budget, the state does some forecasting for us and some of our other revenue sources. So we'll look at to MRSC as far as what forecasts they are putting out there, what the state's putting out there, and we'll embed that into aspects of our budget, but not our entire budget.
Yeah, no, and I'm good with having a budget, but then, even how we perform to budget and based off of especially being biennial, knowing where we're ahead, right? I know last week during some of our retreat, we talked about some low-hanging fruit, and maybe there's some dollars hanging around that we can knock out some things even before we get there. So that was kind of where that was coming from.
The next item on the report is the treasurer's report, and I just completed this. I haven't completed the monthly budget report. We were pushing today to get it done. I should have it out to the full council tomorrow, so I apologize for that. But I did want to pull up real quick the treasurer's report, which shows our total ending fund balances as of March 31st. Again, I would kind of go through here and see if there's anything of concern, anything noteworthy. Mostly, it's the same message as last month that all the funds are very healthy at this moment. So we're continuing to monitor that and continue to monitor our actual revenues and expenses as they come in. So nothing of concern at this point with this cash and investment report. But again, I will send this out tomorrow along with the full monthly budget report so you guys can comb through that as well.
Great.
I did want to introduce Sean. I'm excited for this part of the presentation. Sean has been with us almost 6 months now, Sean?
No, like 16.
16, okay.
Yeah, sorry. And
year
end
and
of 2022.
A year and 4.
There you
Well,
go.
time flies fast, so that's great. I asked Sean specifically to come speak on IT in general for the city and talk about some of the cybersecurity efforts that he's led and the grants that he's received to give the finance committee up to date. And this will help, again, as we roll into budget season over the couple of months to give this particular group a foundation of what we do with IT. So with that, I'm just going to primarily turn it over to Sean for the presentation.
I can't share my screen. Looks like the host has disabled it. So I don't know if you want to bring up your copy, Noah, or.
Here, hold on,
you-
give me 1 second,
Sure.
Sean. Now try again, try to refresh that.
Okay, there we go. All right. If everyone can see that. So my name's Sean Dunham. I think I've met most of you at some point, multiple times here or there. Been here about 16 months. Love Port Orchard area. Originally came from Florida. Replacing Steve Havert was the previous IT manager. He retired. So just like to keep Port Orchard in good hands and keep continuing to push forward with technology efforts. keep us we may be a small-ish city, but I want to keep us on the leading edge, and technology is important. So that's in my last 16 months or so, I've learned the systems, met with the directors and staff about issues, concerns, any needs, and started created some plans for moving the city forward. So some of the highlights that we've done, the first thing is we had a Washington State Auditor's Office offers completely for free to the city, funded by state monies, a critical infrastructure audit, and we earned a perfect score on that. It took about 60 days for them to go through the audit. They go through all sorts of things, such as a critical infrastructure audit goes through our network, any of our devices, laptops, any information that we have stored on our servers and so on, any criminal justice information, public utilities, and so on. Again, is completely free to us. They contract with a third-party vendor. They do penetration testing. If you're not familiar with that, they basically throw everything and the kitchen sink at our public-facing network from the outside and try to get in. They were unsuccessful in doing so, which is why we got the perfect score. So we are in good health on that. They, recommended a few minor changes here and there for upcoming, strategies that they're going to provide. But we did great. So that went well. See, next slide. Next big effort we had, the Washington State Patrol does a audit every 3 years. This year was our year. They do a criminal justice information services audit on the city. And criminal justice information is all the sensitive data that you might know, such as biometric data, any of the fingerprints, arrest records, names, addresses, everything of that sort. We passed that 100%. We got props as well. We found a critical flaw in the state's website, which allowed anyone from the outside to get to places where they shouldn't. So they actually gave us an extra gold star for that one. We helped them fix a flaw in their own system.
And Sean, was that whose system was that? Was the State Patrol's system?
Yeah, the Washington State Patrol's website, their file share system. We could just basically access anything through a backdoor on the website that they unfortunately had, but is now fixed. And Chief Brown was very happy with that result. I believe that we passed with about a 95% score in the last one 3 years ago. And they had some recommendations that had been changed since, partially Steve's effort and partially my effort, and my cohort, Matt Brinza. So yeah, we're pretty proud of that. So here's, perfect score means that we have a commitment to safeguarding those essential systems for the city. I also, IT is under finance. I like to be a little cheap. So if we can get all these great services for free using state and federal monies, then let's do it. If they can help us out, then it's a feather in our cap if we get a good score. And their standards change yearly. They're actually requiring some new things by October of this year, which we have plans in place to achieve those as well. So we'll look forward to their audit again in 3 years.
The new term for that, Sean, is financially savvy.
There you go. Yes, financially savvy. Okay, that works. And this one's a little confusing. So it does say 2022 state and local cybersecurity grant program. So working with WATEC, which is the Washington State Technology Department, and the U.S. military and Department of Homeland Security, they have a pool of funds available for anyone in the United States, and they dole it out to different states, a certain amount. And for whatever reason, they're behind a year. We actually submitted the grant proposal in 2023 for the 2022 monies. And we were successfully awarded this grant I created. It was called Cybersecurity Shared Responsibility. We were awarded about $36,450. Project's almost fully implemented. We're about 85% completion right now. The details of the project are this. we would have a third party conduct a risk assessment. This is again, other than the state auditor's office, cybersecurity. This is a separate third party. So always good to try different things. Different people might do things different ways and so on. Selecting a vendor that will watch our systems 24/7. We selected Critical Insight. They're based out of Bremerton. They're highly lauded amongst my technology community in the Washington state area. Lots of cities around here use them. They're, you know, right across the inlet, so I can call them anytime. It's almost like having, you know, a whole nother team of IT people to watch for our data, watch for our security of our systems. We've had no incidents. They will call me 24/7 if anything happens, and go down the line. Me, my cohort Matt, Noah's on the list as well. I don't think Rob, I don't believe you are, but I figure if it gets to Noah, he can give you a call. So yeah, we're well along on that grant. So this year they have about doubled the pool of money. $5.34 million is available for the state of Washington. So I am approximately doubling my grant proposal request for this year's grant. It's due May 10th. I'm about 50% done with the proposal currently. It will allow us to continue funding for our current efforts, purchase some new networking hardware, and some cloud services. Immutable cloud archiving is a big thing. If you're not familiar with the term immutable, that means it's backed up our data to the cloud and it is untouchable to anyone. It is stored separately from the bad guys. So if anything ever critical happens, shut down our entire systems, they can flip a switch and we will be restored within 30 to 40 minutes. So that's one of my objects on the proposal for this year. And I
Hey,
think
Sean, can we
finally,
just pause there? I
yeah,
just want to make
sorry,
sure, I also want to give the council members
Sure.
a chance to ask any questions.
Yeah,
'cause
sorry
we cover a
about
lot, and IT is a lot. So
Yeah.
are there any questions on security on the grant proposal or the one that we have awarded?
Well, I'd just like to not really a question, but say I really appreciate being in the technology industry. I appreciate you staying on top of things because it's changing every day.
Oh, it is absolutely. It
And
definitely is.
seeing us score as highly as we're scoring as a city is very impressive. So I appreciate your efforts.
I thank you. And like I said, I have to give some credit to my predecessor. He started us on a good path, and you know, I like to maintain it, but I also like to, you know, research and maybe find some new ways to do things easier, which is why I like to meet with, you know, staff and department directors and so on. Is there software or hardware or some other kind of solution that'll help you do what you need to do easier, better, quicker, cheaper, faster, and those things. So
Do
Yeah.
we have a dual control over all of our security staff, right? I know that was a big issue at one of the financial institutions I've worked for in the past, that not all of it's in one person. I know you're kind of a one-man show, but you got a second partner in crime, I think?
correct. Yeah, we actually have about 2.5.
Oh,
I
two
will
and a half.
say.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt Brenza, he's the IT specialist. I supervise him, and then there's Corey Pearson, who's a part-time finance analyst and IT specialist as well. So she helps me out immensely with all sorts of things. So yeah, about 2.5 staff full-time. And then, like I said, the Critical Insight people, as well as almost like a whole nother team monitoring us 24/7 from the outside. So it's a great system. So yeah, we like to maintain the best standards. And actually, currently this week is the ACES, which is the Washington State Municipal Local Government Cyber Security Technology Conference going on, and I just got off of that onto this call. We're doing it remotely this year. It's out in Yakima. So
If I may, Steve or Sean,
sure.
you know, Sean's doing bang up work for us. When I took office 9 years ago and as the mayor, we had an IT department of one. Our systems were horribly outdated. We went cloud. We had outdated and unsupported servers. We had a consultant come in and look at the maze of wires that nobody but the person that built it, who was our one employee, could work on easily anyway. And one of the first things we did is we spent a significant amount of money on an assessment of our system and a roadmap to modernize our system. So that was the first step. And City Council authorized about $130,000 of equipment that next budget. And we started this journey onto the cloud. We've had a couple of, another Steve Havert then came on board. So we had a department of 2, and then Steve retired and Sean's joined us. So since then, we've, for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, we've had at least 2.5 people in IT. So we're a much different place than we were, 9 years ago.
Thank you for that.
And for the new council members, Sean mentioned ACES. So this is the IT network. So we're a part of many organizations here, the management team. I'm a part of WFOA, WPTA, AWC, mainly finance focused, with AWC being citywide focus, but ACES is IT and technology focused. And so both Matt, Sean, and Corey are all participants in that organization. And I'm trying to encourage Sean to get on the board, but he's iffy to get on the board. But we like to, at this city and the management team, kind of get ourselves invested in our major networks, as the mayor is also a part of the AWC board or past president. So I just thought I'd mention that, because we do get a lot of good referrals anytime we have a challenge. Sean reaches out to his network via the email system and can ping all of the various jurisdictions across the state about things that they've implemented, suggestions, pitfalls, those kind of things. So it's a good feedback loop that we get with that network.
Yeah, it's a great resource, and why reinvent the wheel? I can throw a question out there. What is everyone using to do this thing? And I'll get 20 responses back from cities all around Washington, and kind of just open up a conversation with all of them, discussing anything that we might need. It's a great resource. Okay. Any questions, or I'll continue? Just the last couple items. Okay. So our big achievement this year. So thanks to the City Hall renovation, we took the opportunity to update and upgrade lots of systems in the police area downstairs, first floor City Hall. We added about 32 additional data ports downstairs, new networking hardware, networking switches, all the police desks with their all new furniture that Rob had mentioned. They have dual monitors, wireless keyboards and mice for all of their MCTs, which are their mobile computer terminals, the laptops you see in the police vehicles, along with new docking stations that will allow them to still connect to the county, but also our network resources of the city. And then along those lines, we worked with Kitsap 911 and Kitsap County to rework and reconfigure many of the newer network routes between all of our different networks. So we're continually connected to Kitsap County currently. They're right up the street at the courthouse. So we have actually a fiber line between City Hall and Kitsap County Courthouse. And then we created and deployed additional security measures for the MCTs and workstations for the police, all required by the FBI and the state CJIS systems, Washington State Patrol. And then Chief Brown's favorite thing to talk about, his brand new Axon interview room downstairs. The previous system was limited to one workstation. If someone wanted to do an interview in the old interview room, there was one camera, one microphone, and you would sit at a workstation on the other side of a wall, basically, and monitor the interview. Axon is the manufacturer that creates the body cameras and the tasers that our police use. So it's the same system. They use the same access to the evidence. It's called evidence.com. It's Axon's cloud-based system, so they can view interviews from any workstation in the police network. Or if Chief Brown is home and wants to view it on his city phone, there's actually an app for it. He can view an interview on his phone. So we added 2 cameras, 2 microphones. There's a touchscreen controller outside the room. It's a really nice system. Has all sorts of redundancies and backups It actually starts recording before you say record. So if you forget it, you can go back 30 seconds. It goes back 30 seconds and you can, oh yeah, let me hit record, and it records 30 seconds previously. It keeps the footage for, I believe, 10 days locally. So if someone did an interview and totally forgot to hit record for the entire interview process, they could literally go back 10 days later and say, this was mine, let me grab that recording, and everything else is stored in the Secure Axon cloud. So Chief Brown is really, really proud of this. So yeah, and then finally, yeah, just cybersecurity is not going away. It's very important for us to maintain this with the city. We're committed to it. We're committed to keeping our data secure, but not just the police data, but all the city's data. There's just some quick stats on here. There was a study last year that 69% of local government organizations reported being hit in 2023 by ransomware. That's a pretty high number. Ransomware incidents alone jumped over 50% in 2023. So it's not if it's going to happen, it's when. So the best you can do is prepare for it. And that's what we are definitely committed to on our small team here at Port Orchard. So I will not let anyone down. All right.
All right, we
And,
appreciate that,
thank you.
Sean. Anybody have any other additional questions for Sean?
Yeah, any other questions?
Sean, do you think any of our utility systems are more vulnerable than the city hall systems, or do you see them all as one system?
They're what they call air gapped. If you're referring to, say, like the SCADA system for the wells and the sewer, the pump stations and so on, they're air gapped, so they're not part of the city system. If someone could get in there, it would be very difficult. They would actually have to either find the radio frequencies that system use, or physically get into the buildings themselves and do bad things. It does happen. That was actually part of that the state auditor's office. We met with them many times. One of the meetings I had with them was with Mike DeLine, who's our public works superhero, electrician, do it all, facilities, everything guy, and he's sort of in charge of a lot of the SCADA systems. And so that was actually part of the audit on our perfect score. So they were very concerned about that because of many incidences that have happened in the state fairly recently within the last year or so. People breaking into pump stations or power stations on the grid and doing bad things. So yeah, that was part of the audit, and we passed.
Is that Kolchak Lake behind you, or where is that behind you?
It is I don't remember the lake offhand. It's a lake up in British Columbia, like northern British Columbia. So
Okay.
I
Nice.
can't remember the lake offhand. Sorry.
No?
It's like Lake Crescent, but it's not.
Nah, not quite.
So can we assume, Sean, that the new asset recovery or asset management system we're putting in is just going to fit underneath our entire city umbrella?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and thanks to Noah, I've been heavily involved in that. And thanks to Rob, we have Caden, an intern who is key to this project. He is just doing great, fantastic work helping us get that project going. But yeah, it will be under the city's umbrella, and it is a fantastic system. Not only does Kitsap County use the same system, Bremerton also uses it. So we've relied on them for pointers as far as implementation and project management, and getting prepared just to go live with it. So, and I was familiar with it as well from the city I came from. So I've been through a couple of asset management projects along with many renovation projects as well. So I'm pretty familiar with all these things, and yeah, it's looking forward to getting that done. It's going to be great because we have, Excel spreadsheets right now for our asset management, basically. So it's going to be a great thing.
Sean is also a part of, Sean, first of all, thank you for this presentation. It's actually fantastic. You do a great job of helping us understand your high level of tech. I gotta say the right word now. that high level of experience that you have, but you help us understand the layman's level.
Okay.
I rely upon Sean so much now. He was such a score for the city, so thank you so much. I also did want to mention that Sean is truly a part of so many different projects in the city. Every time we have a project, I think who needs to be there at the table, and I think IT's got to be there. And so Sean happens to be on asset management. He's also on our water meter program as we move to radio reads and then move to AMI with cell towers. So he's got to walk through next week with the Public Works Department to survey the towers, make sure that's going to go on point, as well as working with us on the software side for implementation. And I think we have a meeting later this week on that. So Sean is on multiple projects as well as balancing all the kind of needs of the city. So thank you so much for that, Sean.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for everyone having faith in me. So.
And he keeps the mayor's device functioning, even when it hits the road.
I was going to say, I won't mention anything earlier that you mentioned to me. So.
Well, thanks
I
for
highly
everything.
recommend the ruggedized cases for those that have that are accident prone.
All right, so
right.
next on our agenda is a budget amendment 23-24 about the Pottery Avenue TIP program. And Noah, I think this is you.
Yeah, and I think I put this this particular project up before this group several times. I just want to remind you guys, my intent was a little bit more robust than I had hoped. I had hoped I could get to a few more budget topics that I wanted to bring to you in time. I just didn't get to them, but since I have this one available, I want to go through it one more time, make sure you're comfortable with this one. There will be a couple more that I will bring forward again over the coming month. But it's more or less to true up any current contracts we're letting or approving and bringing those in line with our budget. Again, this is for the Pottery Avenue non-motorized improvement project for roughly $2.2 million total. I'll bring in forward a budget amendment in the neighborhood of $750,000. They will impact the general fund, roughly $50,000 for the general fund. Transportation impact fee funds, another $365,000 for that. Water improvements of $137,000, and then sewer of roughly $210,000. So expect that budget amendment come forward to fully fund now what we understand our project cost to be.
No, so right now, like, just so I understand when that comes, so I'm looking at the water capital fund. Originally, the budget was 100,000. We're now saying 137,000 or an additional 137,000.
Yeah, good question to clarify. In the far right
now I see
column,
the
you
next one. I should have kept going. Sorry.
Yep, no, you had the right idea. Current budget, what's available, kind of what the budget amendment need is, and then what our final budget would be to fund this $2.2 million project.
Okay, now follow up. What you're asking for in the transportation impact fees is not available.
Sure it is.
Says he's just got 64,000 available, and he's going to ask a budget amendment of 365,000.
No, this is good. This is good feedback actually, because then this is not communicating what I want it to. What this column is intended to highlight is that the original budget had $144,000. We've spent some funding, so there's only 64,000 remaining of what was originally budgeted.
So
I'm asking for an additional 360,000, which would get me to a total of 509. But
Gotcha.
that's good feedback.
Yeah, I just changed that. I would change the top of that one right there instead of just available. Budget remaining. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
We can work on that.
Yeah. Okay.
The terminology thing. There's plenty of money in the fund.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I'm sure he's not going to be asking for funds he doesn't have. I know Noah, but
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did just want to touch on that one. I do have a couple other, but I didn't pull the information together in time. So the next time we talk, or I'll try to get in front of you guys before we bring it forward. They should not be significant though, but they will be more or less true up of current projects that we have going on.
No, when do you think this you're going to ask for this budget amendment at full council?
Originally I had hoped for the 23rd of April. I don't think that's going to happen now. So then I'm going to be targeting a meeting in May, and I'm on vacation the first half of May, and they have some time off in the second half of May, so I'm trying to work around what dates make that work. I also understand there were some other kind of labor-related budget amendments that would need to come forward. So I was trying to time my amendment, financial amendment, with the labor relations amendment. So far, we haven't been able to sync that up exactly because those are still in negotiations. We'll see how it goes, but hopefully over the next, I would expect sometime in May now.
And what Noah's referring to is we're trying to, with the retirement of Jackie Brown, do a reorganization in the public works. And I think we've talked about this, and that and it involves taking the foreman position and making it a member of the management team, which then we have to get the permission of the union to make that a non-union represented position. So we're making some other concessions to them related to, which are consistent with some of the things we talked about at the retreat, that we, creating leads in parks and streets where we currently only have those leads in sewer, water, and storm. And so that's the direction. So those folks that are the leads in those divisions get a little bit more money than the just somebody just in the pool of laborers. So more to come on that. I've got a couple of emergent issues. If you're done with your information, Noah, I'd like to.
I got one other thing, and then I can turn it over to you, and I'm done for the night. I just want to see if you guys noticed. There's been a slight improvement in our AP process. Again, we've been working on this for a couple of years now. Laserfish is a tool that we use to standardize and automate some of our processes. So we finally got to the second half of our AP process, where there's a routing process where approvals and internal controls are in place. We move from person to person. Right now, they're physically moving from person to person. A packet is physically moving from one person to the next to review, have feedback, and move it forward. We have finally transitioned that over to the full electronic system, thanks to Sean and Corey. Again, all that stuff kind of happens at the admin level behind the scenes, so you guys don't see it. But where you guys usually are involved is I would send out an email at the end of every, or prior to every council meeting for approval with the summary information on the AP side. Instead, what we've been able to build this in to actually remove me from the equation, in that I'm already approving it, but now the system will automatically generate the email and attach the documents and send it to you. So it won't ever get hung up on me not getting it to you. So one benefit is this will allow these emails to go out weekly now, even though you guys technically won't approve it till your council meetings, but you'll have that information on a weekly AP process now. So I wanted to give you a heads up that if you see this kind of Laserfish forms email come through, it's gonna look a little bit different than what you might be used to seeing. So I'm just gonna, but we did test it this week, and I did send it out this week in the prior week to council, and no one seemed to comment on it. So I think we did the right thing by mimicking it enough to what you guys are used to seeing, providing the right information. But for me, it's a huge win that again continue to improve our processes and automate efficiencies for us that we can move documents and things along. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that you should be receiving going forward. So we'll actually go live with that, I believe, next week. We tested it this week, make sure that everything was working really well, and it did. So I'm ready to release that and let kind of ping out to the full council as a part of the process. So again, the intent is again removing me as a roadblock to that communication getting to council on time every week. So if no questions,
the roadblock, huh?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
He does go on vacation or attend a conference once in a while, and all of a sudden he's not around to do that, and you're distracted by other things. So
yeah,
this is a good,
that makes sense.
improvement.
Yeah. And if you're actually, this is new enough council, when I first got here, we did not have any kind of email communication to council on the AP side. What we would do is we'd print out the packet and put in the big binder and bring the big binder upstairs, and we'd run the big binder by the council members, in particular the finance committee, to have them sign each one. So we've made significant improvements in our operational efficiencies to keep things moving better. With that, Mayor, I can turn it over to you. And if you want to share something, I can enable that if I can find my buttons.
Okay, and just want to share. So tomorrow afternoon, I've got we're having a directors meeting to talk about the retreat and the retreat outcomes, and then we'll start our process to formulate a plan for those things that you guys want now. That and how quickly can because we can't snap our fingers and implement everything now. I mean, it'll be over the next, anyway, we'll work on that. I don't even know that I'll be ready to report out next week, but I would say certainly in one of the council meetings in May that we'll get you guys that timeline, implementation schedule, and all that. But just a couple of things that Debbie, just while we were in this meeting, shared with me that I mentioned to her, hey, the council's supportive of adding 2 additional seasonals to take us from 4 to 6, and she's recruiting for those right now. And I said, and we don't want to be chasing Kitsap County. I said, I think you guys were supportive, particularly these non-benefited positions. They pay about $25 an hour. And right now we're a little, not quite $1, but just about $1 an hour behind across the board behind Kitsap County. And I spoke to being, a little ahead of Kitsap County. So are you guys still comfortable with the idea that maybe we be $1 an hour more than Kitsap County? So we're probably going to add a $1.50 to $2 across the board to that salary range. And how that salary range works is I think there's 4 or 5 steps across there. The first year, we got to train you. You don't know how to. You may not have ran a lawnmower before. We hope you have. But you've got a certain training, safety trainings and things you have to drive a city vehicle. And so there's step 1. And then each year you come back to us, you're worth more to us because you can hit the ground running. So we pay $1 an hour more each year as you come back for future summers. And many times it's college kids, but it isn't always. It can be somebody just graduated from high school. It isn't looking for some job skills too. So anyway,
I'd have a lead on a kid who needs a job.
We're actively hiring. We've hired 2 already, and so yeah, get their name in. They got to be 18 or older. But yeah, those jobs are posted right now. Is the finance committee generally supportive of that? Raising that salary? I know we talked about it at the retreat. I just want to circle back because I had the actual numbers.
Yes.
Okay. Another thing that's, I went over and chatted with Chris a little bit about, the potentially hiring an entry level engineer. We got to do some work on that front. He wasn't real excited about it because he doesn't have any capacity to train somebody. Dennis comes back tomorrow. We'll talk about that a little bit at the directors meeting, but I'm really, really worried about breaking Chris. I only got 2 engineers and I don't have an assistant city engineer. We've struck out twice. We've gotten to the finish line twice, I thought, with 2 candidates for the number 2. And we pay this, we're comparable salary to where we're trying to poach them from, but then they come and visit with us and check out and see how busy we are. And they're, well, I'm going to work twice as hard here for the same money. And why would I do that? So, we've got to talk a little bit more about maybe since we're so busy, should we be paying a little bit of a premium? Otherwise, we're not going to attract the talent. And so more conversation, I think, needs to happen on that front. And so then where I'm going with this is we're awarding a contract for that Lincoln and Mitchell roundabout. We've got a city hall project going. We're starting the multimodal project out on Pottery. We've got the Marina Pump Station project already going, and we got well 11 going, and we've got people all plugged into those. We don't have anybody. to manage, do the construction management of this roundabout project. And so Chris and I talked about going to a consulting firm and having a consultant manage this project for us, because we simply don't have anybody. And we would use the salary savings from our unfilled city engineer position. So I'm just communicating that need, and you know, we've got to be on point, on site, and making sure that when things are built, that they're built properly, because it can cost us a whole bunch of money down the road when they're not. So any concerns at all with that approach? Okay, didn't think there would be, but I think it's important to communicate these things early. And so if I bring a contract forward, that you guys aren't shocked, well, where'd this come from? So that's
Rob,
all.
is it being funded from the general fund?
It would be funded from the project.
From
However,
the budget that's already set for that particular, so he's just saying he's gonna take the money that he would pay that person, which would come from the general fund, and use it to pay a consultant.
general fund and other funds, you know, your engineering staff are paid from many different sources, but it shouldn't have an impact, you know, much on it. You know, we got to deliver on the project, and we'll figure, you know, of course, we're not going to bring anything forward that we haven't figured out exactly how to pay for it. But a fair question.
Well, and hopefully I would think that the consultant being hired wouldn't cost us, including benefits, as much as a in-house person to do that same job. Fingers crossed, of course.
Yeah,
Oh, they will. They will.
probably will,
will.
because we're going to pay the overhead of that consulting
Yeah.
firm, but we don't
Yeah.
have any choice in the matter. You know, they're going to be paying a similar salary we were paying, and their employee has benefits, and then there's the overhead of the consulting firm. But
True, yeah.
until we can fill this position, I don't know that, I don't see any other alternative. We got to manage the construction project, and this particular project has requirements with the state, or that we spend it or we'll lose the money.
Yeah, and I guess we would likely look to our transportation impact fee revenue as the first funding source to pay for this contract for consultant services. So that's the first place I would look. I wouldn't look to the general fund.
Okay, that's all I have. I just, a couple of things that have come up in the last couple, you know, today and yesterday, that I wanted to communicate.
Are you going to bring any of this information you brought forward, Rob, to full council tonight, or?
No, there's no mayor's report. I would ask that you maybe make it part of your committee report that I talked about.
Next week.
Yeah, at next week's meeting. And Jay reached out to me. Something has come up, and he's going to miss the council meeting. He's asking that we pull the fireworks item that he is advocating for off of the agenda this evening. So when we get there, I'll ask that you guys modify the agenda. He wants to be there for that discussion, since he was the one that asked to put it on the agenda.
I think Scott was trying to kill himself to come get to be part of that conversation anyhow, so.
Yeah, and I'll reach out to Scott, because he's killing himself to get from another meeting to this
Yeah.
meeting, and let him know that that's not happening.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, because yeah, I thought Scott was already missing that, or trying hard to get to that one as well.
I thank you for reminding me of that. So I will make sure I reach out to Scott, because yeah, the rest of it is largely planning stuff from Nick. So
Okay. Is there anything else good of the order information for the finance committee tonight?
you know, no, you and I
Mhm.
talked about those. John was asking about dashboards, and I want you, if you know, Noah was a bit perplexed, like, so I think Noah's, because of this data or information is going to come from Noah. I'd really like for you, John, to share what it is you're looking for, because it's likely going to come in the form of reports, and
It
what
is,
reports
so-
you're needing that we're not providing.
No, I'm gonna set up a time and I'm gonna come see you. And I'm just gonna show you an example of what I use here at the business. I think it's a good gives you a good base of kind of what I'm talking about, because I can put that out there, and until I can start showing you and then talk you through the whys, because I can tell you all that today, but unless I show you and you understand the whys behind it, you're not measuring the same things at the city as you are at an RV dealership. So I want to make sure that I set that up right.
Yeah, and we welcome that conversation, but likely from a management standpoint, Noah has that in our.
He probably has
accounts.
something ready. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
But it's not, it's not something that we can get you guys. You guys can't have access to that. It's in our accounting software. But we can generate reports and information and you know, because we meet once a month with you guys, you know, and we're happy to do that. So yeah. If you and Noah and I, we'll find a time that you and Noah and I can meet, and we'll talk that through.
Perfect.
Okay, is there anything else anybody want to add? With Fred, you got anything good to the order? Okay, so with that, I think we'll go ahead and close the Finance Committee for April 16th. And we'll see all of you, with exception of Sean, here in a couple hours.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
See
you.
you.
All right, see y'all.